Given how the movie looks and themes within Phase 4, it looks like Eternals is going to be a tragic movie. What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. So, Eternals. That's the next MCU movie. It's got me excited. We just found out the runtime not too long ago. It's supposed to be long as fuck, man. It's supposed to be long. It's supposed to be real long. I think it's over 2.5 hours. I think it's 2 hours 36 or 37 minutes. So it's like the second longest movie ever. And how do I say this? How do I put this? I've been looking at it, man, and like I rewatched the trailers and I looked at some of like the BTS stuff that they released, and everything about it seems like it's going to be a very, very different MCU movie ever. But it still feels like it'll definitely fit thematically with Phase 4 and all that stuff. So you're probably wondering, like, what do you mean? What do you mean by, like, what are you saying? What does this all mean? Well, I think Eternals is hiding a lot in the trailers, and I think it's actually going to be an extremely like more than usual for Marvel movies, an emotional film that people just aren't expecting at all. First up, the way it's even shot, man. They're like the colors are kind of muted, but not to the degree of like the DCEUers or anything. It seems like it's done that way, similar to how Civil War was, to like portray some sort of emotion of like, this is not your typical movie. This is MCU movie rather, and this is going to have some like emotional repercussions for this group of individuals and the world potentially. Given how everyone's been saying Chloe Zhao likes making in her films, she likes making the characters feel very real. I think that's a perfect way to do that, and I think they're gonna do it through subverting audience expectations and through tragedy. And when I say subverting expectations, I mean what they are currently for the wider audience. So the tragedy part, like, what is it gonna be about? Who's it centered on? Probably Ajax, just because she hasn't been in the trailers a lot. And tragedy and subverting expectations has been in a lot of, I think, probably every MCU project. Like the tragedy, WandaVision is all about tragedy. We get to see so much of Bucky's trauma and Falcon and the Winter Soldier, Loki.
Sylvie, stop. I've been where you are. I don't want to hurt you. I just want you to be okay.
But I'm not you.
Don't really need to explain that. Black Widow. There wasn't tragedy necessarily in that. Maybe the tragedy is knowing that we'll never get her again. What If? Supreme Strange. That was a real messed up episode. Shang-Chi, spoilers, was his dad dying, man. That was, God, I love this character so much and I wish he didn't die, but it fits so well. And subverting expectations. WandaVision, the Evan Peters Quicksilver thing. Yeah, didn't like Ralph Boner. That shit was so dumb to me. Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Zemo, his interaction with Bucky and him realizing that Bucky was a victim and choosing not to shoot him and kill him. I wasn't expecting that. Loki, the finale. Again, Shang-Chi making it out to be a very personal story about a father, about a family, and then having this super big third act that essentially no footage was released before the movie came out. On top of that, there's something weird that I noticed with these trailers for Eternals, and it's that, one, we don't see a lot of Ajak, and she's supposed to be the leader, and two, they're focusing a lot on Icarus, and there's this one line at the end of the first trailer where they're like, oh, that now that Iron Man and Cap are gone, who's gonna lead the Avengers? And Icarus is like, oh, it could be me. And all the Eternals laugh at him.
Thank you for this.
Oh, you're welcome.
So now that Captain Rogers and Iron Man are both gone, who do you think's gonna lead the Avengers?
I could lead them.
And he seemed pretty serious about it. So, where am I going with this? How does all this thematic stuff about how do these ideas of subverting audience expectations of where they are at this moment and tragedy within this phase of the MCU play into Eternals? And how does the muted colors and how it's all shot and how apparently Chloe Zhao always tries to make her characters feel so real? And I think on top of already having a love triangle between Black Knight, Dane Whitman, Cersei, and Icarus, which I think this could play a part into it, and I'll explain that later on. I think this whole movie is going to be a tragic story. So let me explain. Even though I think they're making the deviants to be the major threat of the movie, I don't think that's the case. I mean, the Eternals were made by Celestials, and Celestials do a bunch of weird experiments with a bunch of different races, or they do them pretty regularly actually in the comics. And in the trailers, they said the re-emergence is gonna happen, and they only have like a week or something, and that the energy from the snap caused it.
5 years ago, Thanos erased half of the population of the universe. But the people of this planet brought everyone back with a snap of a finger. The sudden return of the population provided the necessary energy for the emergence to begin.
Maybe that's the case. That seems too much of like a MacGuffin for this movie, and maybe that's how they go. I don't know, I'm not sure, but I feel it's the re-emergence. First of all, I don't even think that's about the deviants returning, or the emergence rather. I don't think that's about the deviants returning, because if it was about the deviants returning, it'd be called the re-emergence, hence the name of, oh hey, like the re-emerge, because they've already clearly fought them in the past. We've seen that in the trailers. So what is the emergence in reference to? I think it's in reference to a celestial egg, and the Celestials actually do this to repopulate, and that has its own implications as to setting up stuff in the future, which I'll go over in a different video. Don't worry about it. Check it out when it comes. You'll know what I'm talking about. So that's already what I think the real threat is. Now, how does this play into tragedy and all that stuff? I think some way, somehow, Ajax is gonna die. Whether that's a deviant kills her, or she gets or one of the Eternals betrays her or something. No clue. I'm not even gonna try to figure that out, because there's not enough stuff to go off of. The tragedy also comes within the character of Icarus. Now, my boy Icarus is looking fly, all right? I actually kind of liked him in the trailers. He's been kicking butt. He's got, I don't know if it's heat vision, but he looks like he's strong, and he looks like he can put up a real hard fight. But Richard Madden also described Icarus, and well, let me put up the two quotes in particular that I'm talking about. When he was asked about if Icarus was like a good leader and could potentially lead the Avengers, I think it was, he says, I don't know. I don't know that he's a good leader and a good soldier. If those are two traits you need to lead the Avengers, then he has them, but I wouldn't be able to predict that. It's like, okay, maybe that means nothing, right? Like, we never know. But there was another quote of his that just kept bugging me, and it's been bugging me for a while when I read it. So this is from August 19th of this year. There was an interview where someone had asked, one of the facets Madden tapped into is the immortality of the characters, which makes them disconnected to life, given that they've seen so many phases come and go. What is really a fractional moment in their lives, and yet there's the connection he has with humans on account of the relationship that he's forged with Cersei. The dichotomy is something Madden described as interesting to bounce off with. So he gave this quote, and he said, you've got to have this huge compassion for the human beings you're with, but then also you've got this huge disconnect from them because you've lived through all this time, right? Which we know because the Eternals are really old. We see them through multiple dynasties and generations all throughout history. And then he goes on, that's what is so good about Cersei and Icarus together, that they're two opposing sides of how they connect with the world. And that's what balances them. Now, this is where I think the tragedy in the love triangle comes into play. So we've already have this guy who's supposed to be this dutiful soldier that's trying to prove himself to be a leader, as per that one line from the trailer. And more often not, chooses duty over humans, and their duty is to the Celestials, not humans. Kind of. Their duty is to the Celestials and to carry out their orders and to protect the human and to just only get involved with deviants. Now, Cersei, on the other hand, has already broken that rule, and we see her in the trailer, and she's supposed to be in a relationship with Dane Whitman, and those three are caught in this love triangle. So maybe throughout all this emotional turmoil, having lost this girl that he's been with for thousands of years, and still trying to be this dutiful person. For some reason, whenever Ajax dies, right, or if she does, because we don't really see her a lot in the trailers, Icarus chooses the Celestials over humans, and maybe he is the reason why the emergence is happening of the Celestial egg. And maybe he kills No, I don't think he's gonna kill Ajax. I feel like if anything, it's Crow, that dude that we saw in the humanoid deviant that we saw in the trailer. And I think it was Dan Stevens is playing Crow. And that's another subverting audience expectation right there. Like, we're gonna think that Dan Stevens as Crow and the Deviants are the villains of the movie, when it's not. It turns out it's the people that made the Eternals. It's the Celestials, the people that made the Eternals, and one of the Eternals, Icarus, who, after going through all this emotional turmoil within a few short years, really, and to an Eternal, that's probably feels like maybe a couple days. All the emotional turmoil of losing his girl, the leader that he used to always look up to, and now he has to fight the Deviants again. And then he decides to follow his creator's orders so he can prove how much of a leader he is to everyone, so they can respect him more, and so he won't be a laughing joke or seen as, oh, he's just kind of this douchebag. Because it seems like they kind of set it up that way in the second trailer when he smashes the table.
I bet you've built the perfect safe house. And what's this even made of? Vibranium?
Fall collection. IKEA.
I get it's a funny joke, but it's also kind of like, hey, asshole, you broke my furniture that I had to pay for. So I guess what I'm saying is, given how the movie looks and themes within Phase 4, it looks like Eternals is going to be a tragic movie, and the tragedy is going to revolve around Ajax and the love triangle of Icarus, Dane Whitman / Black Knight, and Cersei. I'm excited for this movie. I don't know. Comment down below what you guys think about this. And if you think Eternals is really going to end up being this crazy emotional movie that no one was expecting. And with that brings me to the end of this video. So if you like the super nerdy content, Marvel, DC, Star Wars, and anime, theory and reaction videos, and not too far off into the future, we will be starting a once a week news segment. That is right, ladies and gentlemen. We're getting closer to that time when I feel like I can finally start doing that, and it's going to be amazing. So if you like all that, then go ahead and like and subscribe, become a part of the community, and hit that bell notification so you do not miss a video. And please do not forget to share in your favorite subreddit, Instagram group chat, Twitter group chat, or Facebook group to help us grow around here, because we're trying to really just get out there so more people can see videos like this, or we get to all just nerd out and geek out and be ourselves. That's it for this one. I'll see you guys next time. Peace.